Can I share a word with you for a little bit? We've heard from you all. I feel like the Lord has a word that he wants to share with us as well. Hennessy's, I prayed a very similar prayer. Anytime I speak, I pray that the Lord would speak through me and kind of help me to get out of the way. And I just felt impressed to pray in a different way this morning. And that was that people would be able to be in this place, in this space, or the space around their living room, computer, or whatever it is, and that they would be able to look at their own life and hear the word of the Lord and recognize that wherever they might find themselves in their journey, that they would be able to see that there's a part of them that is missing. There's a part of each one of us that is lost, and it's barren, and it's broken, and it needs to be revived. And I have a feeling that the Lord is carrying out that request, that he is reviving within us, individually and as a church. I met an interesting woman this week. She is a phenomenal lady. This is my transition into the sermon, by the way, just so you, in case you're wondering. You're like, isn't it like 20 after? I had not met this woman before, but I had read about her. I've heard of her. I had not known much about her. She's just simply known in the Bible as the Shunammite woman. Do you recall meeting her or reading about her? The Shunammite woman, again, we're in this sermon series about the prophet Elisha, and specifically how his faith is just simply ridiculous. But I've come to realize that not only is his faith as a prophet, a man of God, is his faith ridiculous, but he impacted the people around him. And the Shunammite woman was an incredible woman of faith, of this radical faith. We had planned to read 2 Kings chapter 4, starting at verse 8 all the way through 37. John, I think the Lord has something else in mind. I was going to have John come up and read that for us, but that's your homework for the day. The Shunammite woman, I'll give you a little, cliff note. The Shunammite woman was a woman that had an amazing gift of hospitality. And her interaction with the prophet Elisha was actually as a homeowner, that he passed by her house very, very often. She herself was a person of faith and recognized that this man also was a godly man, a man of stature and of religious nature. Just felt that somehow, some way, this man of God, that she and her husband should just open up their home and be hospitable to the prophet Elisha. And not only did they open their home and provide a meal when he would come through town, but believe it or not, if you haven't read this story, if you haven't met this woman like I did this week, they actually built an upper room for the prophet Elisha. Furnished it, gave him a lamp, a table, a bed of his own. So anytime that he was passing by, it was just understood he had a warm meal and a place to lay his head. An amazing woman of hospitality. So Elisha wanted to repay her kindness and said to his servant, what is it that she can receive from us? How can we show our appreciation for her immense kindness? And so his servant asked her. She said, I don't need anything. I'm all good. That's my version. I'm fine. A few weeks ago, we talked about true contentment. Well, she was content with life. But we kind of read through the story a bit, and we kind of read through the lines and realize that there is something within her life that is missing. She didn't have a child of her own. Her husband was very old, and she is getting older herself. And so the prophet Elisha prophesied, heard a word from the Lord, and said, this time next year, you're going to be embracing your own son. And her reply was pretty unique. She said, oh, please don't get my hopes up. Please don't go there. So she kind of said, this is kind of a sore subject, in essence. It leads us to believe that this is a desire of her life, but she didn't want the man of God to get her hopes up if it really wasn't going to happen. The prophecy came true. I should have just had you read it, I guess, after all. The prophecy came true, and the boy was born, and a few years later, he was out in the field working with his father. See, they were a wealthy family. They had their own servants. They had their own fields to harvest. He was out in the field with his father, and suddenly he says, my head is hurting, my head. And so, like every, deadbeat dad, he said, take him to his mother. This is a story about the woman, not the man. This isn't a Father's Day message. It could be a Mother's Day message. The servant took the son back, and the boy was laying on her lap, and he died. And this is where the faith of the Shunammite woman comes into existence. She went upstairs and laid her son's dead body on the man of God's bed, came out, shut the door, and her faith went into action. She sent for a servant to saddle up a donkey, and they rode 20 miles to Mount Carmel where the prophet Elisha was. She told this servant, don't even think about stopping the camel, donkey, don't even think about, watering let's just get there. Do everything to get me to the man of God. She gets there, and she kind of does this, it's football season now, so it's on my brain, this linebacker move of the swimmer across the servant and went straight to the man of God. And she bowed at his feet and was just grasping. She held his feet tightly. Wouldn't let go. Gehazi, the servant, tried to pull her off, and the man of God, Elisha, said, no, this woman is obviously troubled. The Lord hasn't shared with me the situation, but she is obviously troubled. And she said, my son is dead. And it kind of gets the feeling like, I was good. Everything was fine. But you just had to give the blessing of my son, and now my heart's being ripped out. The man of God, Elisha, sent his servant with a staff and said, go there as fast as you can. Don't stop for anyone. Go as fast as you can and lay my staff on the body of the son. The woman said, if there's a God in heaven and he is living, and just as you are living, I'm not going to leave this place until you're coming with me and you're going to help my son come back to life. We've got to do something. I feel like, it doesn't say it, but I feel like they met Gehazi on the way because he said, the boy is still dead. And they just kept on running. And a really crazy thing happened. Elisha went up to the room. He was very comfortable in that room. It was his room. Recognized that the boy was lying lifeless. And if you haven't seen or heard the story, what happens next kind of could be a thriller in a movie, because he laid straight on top of the boy. Mouth to mouth, arm to arm, eyes to eyes. And suddenly, the boy's body began to get warm. But he wasn't fully breathing yet. Elisha got up and he prayed, and this is kind of where we see the faith of Elisha. He prayed and he went back to the boy and went back to the posture in which he was laying, and the boy's life became alive again. His body, he came to life. In that moment, the man of God experienced what we would see later as Jesus himself was resurrected to life. Jesus Christ, who was dead on a cross and in an empty tomb, rose for you and I. And that boy's life was restored. He gave the boy back to his mother. She bowed at his feet in gratitude. See, the Shunammite woman lost her son, but she didn't lose her faith. Her faith in her God was something that she felt so important, that this is the only thing that I have. If I have an aging husband, if I have a family that really isn't going to live on from generation to generation, if my blessing is no longer here, then what's the purpose in life? But her blessing was restored. She lost her son, but didn't lose her faith. So I have a question for you this morning. Is there a part of your life that you feel lost? Is there areas of your life that if you're really honest with yourself, you feel like that you're dead inside? Have you lost, a sense of security in your finances? Have you lost a loved one recently and you're grieving and you feel just numb? Is your faith in question today? Have you lost the love for your spouse that was once so powerful, so meaningful? Have you recently gotten a medical diagnosis and you feel a bit lost? We gathered around my sister, my friend Vicky, who I've known for 28 years. But did you sense the faith of Vicky has not left? It hasn't, has it, Vic? Before this service, she said, I want to pray. I don't want to pray necessarily for a miracle, but I want to pray for peace. There are times that we feel like our faith is being tested. I have a harsh reality to share this morning, that for the miracle to take place for the Shunammite woman, the boy had to die. In order for there to be a miracle to take place, the boy's life had to be taken from her. And sometimes we wonder, why do things like that happen? She's a wonderful woman. She is a godly woman that she just wants to bless others. She wants to magnify and lift up the name of the Lord. She wants to be hospitable to the man of God. So why did she have to go through that heartache? Well, I don't know about you, but sometimes we have to go through heartache for the miracle to take place. And so my encouragement for you this morning is don't give up. Just keep your faith alive. Matthew 7:7 tells us to just keep on knocking. Can we put that verse up there so I can read it for us? Matthew 7:7. Keep on asking and you will receive what you ask for. Keep on seeking and you will find. Keep on knocking and the door will be open to you. My terminology of that verse that just simply says, keep on keeping on. And whatever it takes to allow our faith to be real, to perhaps allow our faith to be ridiculous, then let's go there. Let's have the faith of the Shunammite woman that was willing to jump on a donkey and ride 20 miles to save her son. To be able to come and bow her face at the feet of the godly man to say, come on back, you bless me, we're not going to leave it here. So if there's a barren place in your life, if there's a dead spot in your life, The encouragement this morning is to just have this ridiculous faith and keep on. Our praise team is going to come up and help us out with a final song. The song is entitled Living God. Bless you. Oh, here's a cool thing about this story. When the boy came to life, he sneezed 7 times. And then he was healed. Isn't that awesome? So the Lord used whoever just sneezed right there. Living God says this: death was never going to hold you, so it's never going to hold me. You're the thing holding on to me. You are alive. You're living and breathing. You're here in this place, speaking and healing. Your fullness and glory is right here before me. You are the living God. I believe the Lord is speaking this morning. Could we be so bold as to say, I believe the Lord is in the process of doing some healing this morning? As Pastor Josh prayed for Vic, he prayed, okay, Lord, it could be a healing in this moment, but perhaps it's beginning a process of feeling a peace. Of knowing that we will go through hard times, we will go through trials, we will go through difficulty. Sometimes the Lord allows it to happen so a miracle can take place. Do you believe that? Do you believe He's speaking this morning? Why don't you stand with us if you're able? I think I would just simply want to give an invitation for you to receive what the Lord wants you to do right now. I don't know if that means to come to the altar and pray. I don't know if that means go to your car and have a moment with you and God and just cry out to Him. I don't know if that means sit or stand. Just the invitation is just to respond, to be faithful, to begin to grab a hold of a ridiculous amount of faith.